Hello everyone, welcome back. And tomorrow Barcelona plays Getafe in La Liga, and I honestly didn't even think they had a game tomorrow because they seemed like they just played against Napoli. But anyways, Barcelona does play Getafe, and always a difficult game. Getafe is such a ratty team to play against, and I think we all remember that first game of La Liga this season. Such a difficult team to play against, but anyways, Barcelona have to bounce back after that game against Napoli and hopefully get 3 points tomorrow. And looking at the standings in La Liga right now, Barcelona are in third place, but they're actually only 2 points away from Girona in second place, and Girona have had two very difficult games in the last two games in La Liga, so they lost both of those, so that's a really big boost for Barcelona because it would be great to see Barcelona get second in the league this season. But like I've said in my last couple videos, Barcelona getting top 4 is not a guarantee. Barcelona still has to be in good form for the rest of this season to qualify for the Champions League next year, and of course, that's the priority, and Barcelona do have some difficult games coming up, and so they have to get back into good form. And for Getafe, they currently sit 10th, and Barcelona, in the last 18 times that they've played Getafe at home, they've won 14 of those games, so hopefully Barcelona can get a win tomorrow. And again, from that first game in La Liga, it was just so frustrating to not see Barcelona get a win, especially after that Gavi handball that they called. That was just ridiculous in the first place, so hopefully Barcelona can get a win tomorrow. And because Barcelona had a very important game on Wednesday, I do feel like Xavi is going to rotate the team a little bit, and players like Lamine Yamal, who have been playing so much recently, I think he should be getting some rest, and I do have a feeling that Rafinha would be starting in front of Lamine Yamal. And it was also nice to see João Felix come off the bench because even though he's been inconsistent and sometimes he hasn't been able to impact a game as much as Barcelona fans would want him to, he's still been an important player for Barcelona. He still scored some great and very important goals for Barcelona this season, so it was nice to have him back in the team. And I do have a feeling that he's going to be playing, and I actually have a feeling he's going to be starting tomorrow. And it's pretty difficult for me to predict how well Barcelona are going to play because they just came off a very difficult game against Napoli in the round of 16 of the Champions League, and they used all of their energy for that game. And then to have to play Getafe, of all teams, just a couple days later, obviously it's not going to be an easy game for Barcelona to go out and win. And in this game, because Getafe plays so defensive, I do have a feeling that Xavi is going to play with 3 attackers, and I don't know what midfielder he's going to sit in this game, but I have a feeling he's going to add either Vitor Roque or Marc Guiu or João Felix to the attacking line. I don't feel like he's going to play with 4 midfielders in this game. And actually, just talking about the team news, I just saw a report that Ter Stegen actually received an offer from Saudi Arabia, which would be really interesting, and I think he has been criticized a little bit for that attempt of a save that he had on Osimhen in the game against Napoli, and I just do feel like sometimes in big games, he's just not able to make those huge saves that Barcelona need in the Champions League, but he's still a good goalkeeper. I don't feel like he's going to leave Barcelona in the summer, but it was interesting to see that he received an offer from Saudi Arabia. Then moving into the starting lineup, of course, Ter Stegen is going to be starting tomorrow. He's still Barcelona's best choice right now. He's still the best goalkeeper that Barcelona have, and even though Naki Peña did have some good moments during his time when Ter Stegen was out injured, of course, Ter Stegen is still going to be the first choice goalkeeper at Barcelona. And then moving on to right back, I feel like it's going to be Koundé, but I could actually see Xavi starting Hector Fort in this game because Koundé has played a lot of games recently, and Hector Fort is a true natural right back, while Koundé is obviously naturally a center back. So I could see Hector Fort playing in this game, and I really wouldn't mind that rotation. And good news about Getafe's right back that's going to be in the next game, it's not going to be Damian Suarez, who was such a dirty player in that last game against Barcelona. How he did not receive a red card is beyond me. But actually, we know the reason. It's because of La Liga refs, because they are the worst refs in the top 5 leagues. But luckily, Damian Suarez, he moved to Botafogo, I believe, so he left Getafe. He's not going to be playing tomorrow, which is great news for Barcelona and the Barcelona supporters to not see him play. And then moving on to the center backs, Ronald Araujo will probably be starting unless Xavi decides to rotate him, but he dropped such a good performance in that game against Napoli. He's so good. He's Barcelona's best defender, and even though in the last couple weeks he was maybe criticized a little bit for his performances, he's still the best defender at Barcelona, and of course dropped such a good performance in that game against Napoli. And then the other center back for me is difficult to call because Inigo Martinez, I think he was great, other than that little spin that he had on Osimhen where he got dropped and Osimhen did score. I think he was great in that game, and that's the reason that Barcelona signed him, because he's such a good defender. He's very reliable when he's healthy, so if he's fit for tomorrow, I feel like he would be starting. But at the same time, if Xavi decides to rest him and give Cubarsí a start, I would be completely fine with that because it is really nice to see Cubarsí getting minutes, and especially in this game against Getafe where it does seem like Barcelona are going to dominate large parts of this game. They're going to keep the ball a lot, and they're going to have a lot of possession. I feel like Cubarsí, I could definitely see him starting in this game. So either Cubarsí or Inigo Martinez, I would be fine with either one. And then at left back, I could see João Cancelo starting in this game, but I could also see Xavi giving him a little bit of rest because I think he did a lot of work on that left-hand side, and he looked really tired after that game. And again, that game was only a couple days ago, so maybe if Hector Fort is starting at left back, or maybe if Inigo Martinez starts at left back and Cubarsí moves into the middle, I could see that happening. I could see Cancelo getting some rest tomorrow, but it's more than likely that he is going to be starting. And then moving into the midfield, and again, I can see Xavi playing with 3 midfielders in this game because especially against Getafe, I think Barcelona do need some runners in behind. I think they're going to play a really low block. I don't think Barcelona are really going to struggle to keep control in the midfield, even if there's only 3 midfielders. So I feel like one of the midfielders that Barcelona played in that game against Napoli is going to be sat for this game. But I still think that Xavi is going to want to play with a defensive midfielder because I feel like the performances in the last couple weeks have been a little bit safer. They've looked a little bit more secure with a defensive midfielder. So I feel like it could be Christensen, but I could also see Oriol Romeu starting in this game because Christensen did look really tired after that game against Napoli. So honestly, I could see Oriol Romeu starting in this game. And then out of those midfielders, I do feel like Pedri would be the one getting sat because he's really struggled with injuries recently, and you don't want to play him every couple games because that obviously didn't work out after his first season at Barcelona. So I think out of Frankie de Jong, Gundogan, and Pedri, I would want Pedri to get the most rest. So I feel like it's going to be Frankie de Jong on the left and then Gundogan on the right for Barcelona. And there were some mixed reviews about Frankie de Jong's performance in that game against Napoli, and I think he was great. I think he dictated the play really well for Barcelona. But yeah, I agree sometimes maybe he held onto the ball for a little bit too long, but I think that's the player that he is, and you've got to take his pros with his cons. So again, I do think he's one of Barcelona's best players on the team, and of course he will be starting tomorrow if he's healthy, and I think Gundogan will be right alongside him. And then moving into the attack, I really hope we see Rafinha starting tomorrow because Lamine Yamal, he has been the best player on the team for Barcelona, but he needs some rest. He cannot be continuing to play this many minutes, and before the season started, he was supposed to be a squad player. He was not supposed to come into the starting lineup, and of course that shows how good he is as a player, but it also shows the situation that Barcelona are in, and I don't think they should be rushing to play the 16-year-old every couple games. I think he should be getting squad minutes, even though he is the best player at Barcelona right now. So I hope that Rafinha gets a start tomorrow. And since coming back from injury, he hasn't started a game, so I feel like tomorrow is the best opportunity for him to get a start. And then up top would be Lewandowski, and I think he stepped up massively in the last couple weeks. And honestly, I did criticize him a lot because I think he was just such a passenger in a lot of games. And even though, even though in that game against Napoli, some of his touches looked a little bit off, and he just looks a little bit slow at times. And sometimes I think Barcelona do need someone that makes a little bit more movement, makes a few more runs in behind, because sometimes it pins Barcelona back into their own half. I just feel like that goal that he scored was great, and he shows the quality that he has. Even though sometimes he looks a little bit static, he looks like a passenger in some games, I still think he can show his moments there, and that was a moment of brilliance from Lewandowski, so I do think he's going to be starting tomorrow. And then on the left is an interesting choice. I feel like for me it's going to be João Felix, just coming back from injury, but maybe Xavi doesn't want to rush him back, so he would play Vitor Roque on the left, but I don't really want to see Vitor Roque on the left. If anything, I would much rather Barcelona play maybe a 3-5-2 with Lewandowski and Vitor Roque up top. I just want to see him playing as an out-and-out striker, because on the left, that's not who he is. He's not a good dribbler. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work in his favor, and some Barcelona fans are going to criticize him, even though he's being played out of position. And we've seen that as a left winger, he is not that good. He's much better in the middle. And I just don't want to see Xavi playing him on the left, because I just don't think he gets the best out of his abilities. And even though he does make great runs in behind on that left side, and he's very direct, I just don't think, again, it's playing towards his strengths. So I don't think he should be playing on the left. I would much rather João Felix be starting. Or if Barcelona do want to play with truly two strikers, I think that would be the best opportunity, because Lewandowski, he doesn't provide attacking threat in behind. And Vitor Roque and Lewandowski working off each other, I think that could work for Barcelona. And I was going to make another video about it, but I would actually really like to see Barcelona try a 3-5-2, because I think that might get the best out of Barcelona's abilities. And they don't have a true defensive midfielder, and there's some question marks around how well Christensen is going to be playing in that position, and I think it's just a placeholder. I think he's a placeholder in that position. I don't think he's the true defensive midfielder for Barcelona next season, but up until the summer, I could see him playing in that position. But I think to get the best out of Barcelona's abilities, maybe they should switch to a 3-5-2. And that might seem ridiculous, and I think it's maybe recency bias, because I've watched the last 2 Inter Milan games, and they look incredible. They don't have an abundance of talent at each position in their team, but they still look like one of the best teams in the world, because they're such a well-structured and well-oiled team, and they all work together so well. So I would love to see Barcelona get the best out of all the players that they have. And in the games that I've watched Milan this season, they have not played with a defensive midfielder. They played with Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, and Barella. That's no true defensive midfielder. And maybe if Barcelona would be able to play with Pedri, Frankie de Jong, and Gundogan like that, if they were to add another defender, or another center back, really, because I could think someone like Kubarsi, Ronald Araujo, and Koundé together on the back line, with maybe Rafinha as a right mid, and then as a left mid, Cancelo, maybe that would really work for Barcelona. And I think that would help Barcelona to not be able to play with a defensive midfielder, because when they only have 4 defenders and they try and play with Pedri, Frankie de Jong, and Gundogan, it just doesn't work out. And it shows that they really do need a defensive midfielder. But I think for Inter Milan, it's proving that you don't actually need to play with one. And I think Rafinha as a right mid would work really well. And also with a 3-5-2, Lewandowski and Vitor Roque would be able to play off each other. I think that would work great, because there are some times when Lewandowski, it just doesn't look like he's providing enough movement. And Vitor Roque, I think being able to play off of him and make runs in behind, that would really help Barcelona. And Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram on Inter Milan. And Marcus Thuram, by the way, he was a free agent in the summer. I wanted Barcelona to sign him, and he's had such a good season in the Serie A. So that's tough that Barcelona didn't sign him, but obviously things happen for a reason. And Vitor Roque is now in the team, which is great, but they're not getting the best out of Vitor Roque. And in a 3-5-2, maybe that's how they can get the best out of his abilities alongside Lewandowski. And I'm going to make another video about that because, again, it's comparing one of the best structured teams in the world to Barcelona. And obviously, their situations are very different right now. And I think Inzaghi has done great things with Inter Milan, and he's made them one of the best teams in the world right now. But anyways, I don't feel like Xavi is going to play a 3-5-2 tomorrow. I think it's most likely going to be a 4-3-3 with only 3 midfielders. And I think that's the right idea because against Getafe, again, when you're going to dominate large parts of this game, you're going to have a lot of possession in this game because Getafe really don't mind you having the ball. They like to sit back. So I just think Barcelona would play with 3 attackers instead of 2. And I hope the front line is Rafinha, Lewandowski, and I think it's going to be João Felix, even though I really like to see Vitor Roque starting. I just don't want to see him in that left wing position because it doesn't get the best out of his abilities. I would much rather see him played centrally. Of course, after a big game in the Champions League, sometimes there's a little bit of a hangover, like maybe Barcelona don't come out with that intensity that they need. But Getafe, I'll tell you what, Getafe will 100% be playing with all of their intensity like they always do. They're such a difficult team to play against, and they're pretty frustrating to watch at times, but sometimes they get the job done, and they're 10th in La Liga right now. They're having a pretty good season, so it's not going to be an easy game for Barcelona tomorrow. And I was reading something on Twitter that it might be important for Barcelona to get second in the league because there was something about the Club World Cup, and if Barcelona are able to qualify for that, they would get a lot of money. So, of course, given Barcelona's situation, that would be great. So maybe it is really important, not only for Barcelona to place top 4, but also to try and get second in the league. And I really thought it was going to be Girona and Real Madrid kind of running away with it, and Barcelona were maybe going to try and get 3rd. But right now, Girona, in the past couple games, even though they've had really difficult games against Athletic Bilbao and against Real Madrid, Barcelona can still get ahead of them. They're only 2 points behind them right now. And even though there was a lot of focus on that game against Napoli, you still have to win games in La Liga. You still have to focus on the league. So I really think Barcelona are going to go into tomorrow's game looking pretty good. I don't think they're going to come out there looking tired from that game against Napoli. I think Xavi is going to make a couple rotations, and I think Barcelona will look good tomorrow. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. It's really nice for me to be able to just talk about Barcelona with people all around the world, and it's great to see. And thank you for all the comments. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to try and get this Discord up and running. I just don't know why. I've been delaying that, but I will get the Discord up running soon. And I'll also try and stream a game in the next couple games for Barcelona, but I don't think I'll be able to stream tomorrow. And again, thank you very much for watching, and I'm hoping Barcelona have a good performance tomorrow.